Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So it continues. See, this is crazy. I love when the left comes out. Trump told the Proud Boys, pretty much frat boys, to stand back and stand by, and it's horrible. But you have elected leaders, protest leaders, calling for riots, looting. They are saying it with their own words. I don't have to say it for them. That's what they're saying. In this article today, I wasn't prepared to do this show actually. I was just looking through some stuff. Like, you know what? I'll turn out a couple of shows tomorrow because I put out like 4 yesterday. Like, you know what? I'll turn some out tomorrow. And I'll just, build up stuff. But I ran across this one. And it's from Law Enforcement Today. It says Kansas City attorney threatens to dox police officers' families, calls it public service information campaign. So this is in Kansas City, Missouri. A protest leader and local attorney in Kansas City issued an eerie threat to dox law enforcement officers and confront their children's teachers or their spouses following the arrest of a pregnant woman in the city. Notice they didn't say shooting. They said arrest. So I assume for them to have the grounds to arrest her, she did something. While she feels as though this is some sort of public service information campaign, she's actually flirting with a potential felony if she follows through. So yeah, that is a felony. The but it's not the fact that she's skirting with a felony that's bothering me. Let me read you some of what she's put out. And this lady is Stacy Shaw. Stacy Shaw. How's it feel to be doxxed? How would you feel if somebody gave out information on your family? How would you feel if a protest leader, an attorney, say you sued somebody and that attorney said, well, we're going to give people your family's address. Wouldn't you feel threatened, attacked? I would be in fear of my family's safety because you're going to put out information on these officers and where their kids go to school. So what happens when some unhinged lunatic shows up at one of these schools and starts shooting kids? Because you can see that happening, right? I'm so tired of this shit. Now, like I said, I wasn't going to do this show today. I wasn't going to do it. Matter of fact, after this, I'm going to shave and jump in the shower to wash off the dirt of reading this woman's tweets. Ridiculous. Disgusting. Elizabeth Warren leading a riot or leading a protest that turned into a riot after she had left. Maxine Waters telling people to attack Trump supporters when they see them in restaurants, when they see them on the street. Nancy Pelosi saying, I don't understand why there's not mass rioting now. This was a few months back. And you don't have to take my word for it, just YouTube it. It pops right up. And now you have this woman, Stacy Shaw. And we're going to dox police officers. My nephew's a police officer. The old lady's cousin's a police officer. But if you dox him and show up to his house, you're going to have a problem. But why are they not being held legally responsible for this? Let me read you what she said. We are going to start sharing things with your children's teacher. You don't think that we have extensive researchers? You don't think we know where you live? You just made a threat to a police officer. So don't even ask yourself about the police officers themselves. Ask yourself this. What happens? Dan's an officer in Kansas City. This woman has doxed my family. Me and my wife and kid are at the supermarket. Somebody comes up to me and starts yelling. They may never have seen this. If we get into an altercation, or them and my wife get into an altercation, what do you think is going through my mind? This person means physical harm to me and my family. So what do you think is going to happen? Use your brains here. This is irresponsible. They should be held legally liable. So what are you going to do, Stacy Shaw, Maxine Waters, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, when somebody shows up at a cop's house while he's out on patrol and kills his pregnant wife? You won't care because all you care about is your agenda. That's what I keep telling you guys. They don't care about people. And you're running, picking up your BLM signs, and you're going to these protests, and you're doing this, and they care about their agenda and their power. The Stacy Shaw chick, I guarantee you plans to run for elected office. She's going to do it on your blood. Not sweat and tears, your blood. Well, maybe your tears. Because, see, she doesn't give a damn if you're the one that gets killed. As long as her agenda is fulfilled. That's all she cares about. That's all Elizabeth Warren cares about. Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, they don't care about you. Dan cares about you, mainly because I can't afford to lose subscribers. Don't listen to these people. Show, not only cops, show people the utmost respect. Strangers, show them the utmost respect. It doesn't matter. I've always said, it doesn't matter your level of life. When I was a union secretary, the reason I got so much support, I actually got to tell you a funny story. The reason I got so much support is because I treated everybody with respect. I treated the custodian like I treated the CEO, like literally. Actually, better, because me and the CEO fought all the time. Actually, I threatened to kick his ass a couple of times. I had to actually get escorted out of his office. It was going down. But that was when Dan was young and wild. Dan's old and wiser now. But I always treated people with respect. So the story goes like this, right? A young lady decided to run against me for secretary because, well, I guess she didn't like me. Whatever. Don't care. So by the time the vote came in, somebody else nominated me. I wasn't even running. I had moved to Texas, so I didn't run a campaign. I didn't do anything. I had moved back to Texas. And I get a call from Jim Sprague, who was our chief shop steward at the time and was monitoring the elections. He's like, "You've been reelected secretary." I'm like, I live in Texas. He was like, "Well, we need you back in Washington because you're the elected secretary, unless you want to withdraw." And I was like, you know what? No, let me stick it to these people. I'm coming back. So me and my daughter jumped in my truck and we drove back to Washington. And if you guys watch my financial stuff, that's when we came back with $7 in our pocket. And this was a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Daughter's 22, maybe 8 years ago. Came back to Washington, only had $7 in my pocket. But I was determined. And that's when I called Dr. Fax. I was like, "Hey, I need some help." And he helped me out. So the reason I say that is they're treating you like they don't care about you. And they're showing you that. That's why I tell you not to go to these protests. Don't go to these rallies. Because, see, to push their political agenda and to build their power base, they need you out there doing this. I hope none of my subscribers are dumb enough to approach a cop. And also, it goes against my code. Remember, I said women and children are off limits. If I got a problem with you, I'm going to bring it to you. But I'm not going to bring it to your family. I'm not going to bring it to your family. And that's if you're a man or a woman. I'm not going to bring it to your husband. And also I've grown wiser, so we're probably going to talk about it. Actually, in my wisdom now, if I got a problem with you, I just shut you out of my life. Now, if you bring it to me, that's a whole different story. But you're threatening, as an attorney, you know you're breaking the law. This woman this woman, this attorney, this lawyer, her license to practice law should at the very least, be suspended. Be suspended. And let me tell you something about these politicians: Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, uh, Elizabeth Warren. I laughed because I almost called her. It doesn't matter. They're protected by Capitol Police. That's their bodyguards. So you're calling for the defunding and violence against the very people who protect you. Look at how it turns out for these idiots. The governor or the mayor of Portland, actually I think it's the governor, is losing to a BLM member who looks deranged. But that whole state, actually the whole West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, has all gone to trash. Because now if you look, everybody was in a panic. I was watching King 5 News this morning. Everybody's in a panic because of Boeing. And I'll do that in another video because I told them so. Nobody listens. But for this woman to say this, I mean, you're responsible for that. You should be held responsible. If a cop's wife gets killed, you should be held responsible. If a school that a cop's child goes to gets shot up, you should be held responsible financially and criminally. It just really got to me this morning. But I'd like to thank you for watching this episode of The Dan Dawson Show. Think about what I said about don't go to these rallies and protests. It's ridiculous. Stay away. So like, subscribe, share, do what you got to do.